with negative or positive impact.
Okay guys, we start this.
Progress uncertain event occurs to a project with negative or positive impact.
Okay.
It may cause it has effect on one or two, one of the project objectives.
Okay.
Like cost, scope, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
To do a risk management, we have to do planning, identification, analysis, response, and controlling. Okay. To make control of risk, we have to do implementation of risk response plan, monitoring residual identification, monitoring residual risk, follow up the effectiveness of risk process.
The process itself. Okay.
Identify new risks. Tracking identified risks.
Exactly. Okay. So these are all control activities that happen. So this is my pi matrix or probability impact matrix. Remember, and we said we have here high, medium, low, low, medium, high, and this is how I do. So let's say this is my risk in this project. So when I talk about control risk, there are things related to this. So let's say the approval delays has occurred. Okay. So now, if this is no longer a risk, I should discard it, cancel it. Okay. Now, if there is a new risk appearing in my environment, what do? I identify and find new risk, and then I do what? Analysis, and I have my new risk sitting here. So this is part of controlling the risks, i.e. what's new, what is gone. Okay. Again, there's another thing. Maybe halfway through the project, the internal utilities, right, probability has decreased from high to medium. So I move it to here. Right? Maybe some risks impact is now no longer low, it's medium. So I move it to here. So there's a lot of dynamic happening in my risk matrix. It's not static. So this is control.
أنا متفق معاك كل اللي أنت قلته، بس ليه شلت اللي هي خلاص خلصت؟ ما أنا محتاج implementation. أنا ليه بشيلها؟ خليها.
Yes, okay, it could be. I mean, you can have it here and maybe put a small note saying this has happened. But as long as you have a mechanism to work out things. Because you're right. You might when I'm good شلتها معناتها in the new version it's not there, but in the old version it's still documented. It was there. بالضبط يعني it's up to you. أنا نفس الشيء. أنا usually I use different colors for the risk. Exactly. To track the history. Exactly. But Basmani sir mentioned a very important term. He mentioned something called residual risk. What does that mean? Residual risk.
It's an effect on the product.
أيوة. طيب. So sometimes when you have your risk response strategy, means what? So if I want to do this action to avoid this risk or to mitigate this risk, so you do the action. كلمة residual يعني إيه؟ It's still there. So after you do your response action, there is still a component of that risk lurking. يعني لسه في جزء من الريسك حي. زي لما يكون مثلا عندك let's say حيوان زاحف and you cut the tail but the head is still there. So residual risk is the type of risk where even if you do a response plan, there is still a risk. Or there's another risk appearing as a result of what? Of your action. Remember the cover, the plastic cover for the foundation? Right, so this was an avoidance strategy, مش كده? So we dig the foundation, we cover it with plastic cover to avoid what? Damages from the rain. But this action in itself can cause another risk, which is what?
Falling water.
If the plastic cover has too much rain on the plastic cover, right? This could lead to what? The plastic cover in itself creating a hazard, right? So I could damage my foundation, at the same time I spend money buying a plastic cover and it's damaged again. So we call this residual risk. Okay. Now this comes with experience and scenario planning and long-term thinking as a project manager. So who monitors the risk? Who does that monitoring? Project manager. But if it's a big, massive project, we need a full-time risk analyst dedicated to the risk. He or she will be responsible to look into all that risks. Okay.
Cost, in terms of cost risk, some escalation of material.
Right.
When it happens, you don't have a control on that.
Right. It's one of the risks, which is escalating cost, for example, or escalating prices.
Yes.
So what's your response strategy to that? How do you? What's your in the planning stage? You should have a response strategy to that. So maybe have multiple suppliers, right? Or just accept it. Yes. It depends on your strategy.
How to overcome?
Do we always have to overcome risks?
No, I mean the residual risk. Not the residual risk.
Right.
Yes, sometimes we cannot avoid such kind of risk.
So more money, you have to pay more money for the supply, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a risk. So if you do pay more money or you do something to avoid that, there's always other risks that's involved with it. So it could be lower qualities, for example. If they rush, for example, the material to you, there are different things. But again, it's all about experience. But it's very important to control the risk because things change when we talk about risk. All right. We also do another thing in risk control, what we call the risk audits. So we did this as a project team. I go and I hire a consultant to let them come and audit this process, right? To make sure that, right?
Implementing this process.
Exactly.
Right.
Are we okay? Are we doing things in a good manner? Have we used the right information? Exactly. Why audit is important in project management? Because if I ask you to write a piece of article about anything, so you read it, you write it, you revise it 3, 4, 5, 10 times, right? Let's say you wrote this article. So you say, there you go, I tell you, is it okay? There's no error, nothing, no mistakes, you tell me no. I take it, give it to someone else, and they highlight 10, 15 errors or mistakes. Why?
You cannot discover your mistakes.
Exactly.
There's another eye, you will find six mistakes.
Right? So it's always good to run whatever you do by someone else, because your eyes are programmed with your hand, for example, right? So you have an interconnected system, right? And usually the system doesn't audit itself, right? So when you give it to someone else, لا دي غلط ودي هنا قصدك ايه؟ لا بس انت هنا قلت كده مش كده. So you get, so audits give us that dimension always. So it's not always audit means the company or the organization want to spy on us. No, right? It's usually, it's just an improvement to it.
And this will also support the project manager for the
Yes. Exactly.
From the stakeholder that what is suffering.
Right. Okay. Okay, so that's that. The last one we have here is stakeholder. Okay. So here we have the managed stakeholder engagement and control stakeholder engagement. Now, when we talk about managing the stakeholders, okay, specifically this area, this was actually a new knowledge area added to the new version, which is version 5 of the PMP. It wasn't there before, right? But this is actually a part of communication. But they took out the specifically stakeholder management to enhance, to focus on it. It's that saying us, it's very important, guys, to deal with the stakeholder in an effective manner. Okay? Because in any successful project, right, this is a key area. And I always say, if we have a terrible project manager technically, so technically you're not that good, okay, but in terms of managing the stakeholders, you are perfect, right? Your project will be a success. Okay? And vice versa. If you're technically very good, but you have a bad relationship here,
And who needs acceptance?
Exactly.
Who needs acceptance?
Exactly. Okay? So that's very important, how to manage and how to control the stakeholder engagement. Now, when it comes to stakeholder, as we said, the important thing to first of all to identify the right stakeholders. So you have to know who's pulling the strings. مين بيحرك الجماعة أيوة. Okay?
مين ماسك الخيوط؟
Exactly. يعني مش تروح you want to get married and you say, oh, forget my mother-in-law, she's not important. I have to concentrate with the father. لأنه هو رجل البيت. فأنا أقنعته هو.
على نفسه.
بالضبط. ده يوريك إن أنت مش فاهم. اوكي
ده كلام بنضحك بقى على نفسنا.
الراجل ما مركز على الامور الاستراتيجيه.
ايوه صح.
مشكله القدس ومشكله البتاع كده، خلي الامور اللي اي كلام دي للزوجه يعني، مش كده؟ اوكي؟ So you have to understand who the stakeholders, plan their engagement, so who should know what, that's part of the communication plan. Here, I manage the engagement, means what? I start sending reports, I make meetings, I go visit them, I answer their queries, I'm engaging. So here, to me, this is one of the key processes of project management.
They trust you more.
Exactly. Once you're there.
Don't hide.
Exactly. The problem we have as human beings is whenever there's a problem, we want to hide.
Yes.
Right? Or you want to cut the lines of communication because we're upset with someone. If you do this, you're killing the project. Okay? So always be there. Now the reason we want to hide is because we take things personally. So if we have a problem on site, we take it personally, as if it's our problem, it's our error. No, it's not. So let's say we had, لا قدر الله, some accident on site. So one of the roofs collapsed. And as a result, this will delay the project for 2 weeks. Now that's reality because this is construction. This is not IT where you can simulate things, right? 2 weeks delay. And the client wants this project to be delivered on time. They're desperate. So now you have a situation, a client who might not accept a 2-week delay, right? Plus a situation, 2-week delay. What do? Usually we say, don't tell him. Let's try to work out something. Now the moment you say don't tell him, he already knows. Okay?
Waiting for you to
It's
say.
just waiting, right? Right?
Yeah,
If you come back after a week and tell him, you know, last week we had this and now, but why didn't you tell me before? Right? So immediately pick up the phone, inform the client of what's happening. This is he might go mad. Oh, okay, that's fine. But at least, exactly, I'm telling you. Exactly. This is reality. Okay? So it's better to face the client rage, يعني حالة الغضب, okay, as soon as possible. So the later you leave it, the more complicated things will be. Right? So this is managing. Now controlling means what? It means, okay, I decide to send Wahib an email every week for the status of the project. But I realize that Wahib is not responding to me. Right? So maybe there is something I need to change. Okay, thank you very much. Orange. Thank you. Okay, so what do I change? Instead of sending him an email, I will go and meet him face to face. Okay, so this is controlling based on what? On my assessment of the effectiveness of this. Okay, so you're control. If you're outside country, maybe I call you, right? Maybe video conferencing. Okay, it depends. Sometimes we do that as well. You know, sometimes we do to the senior management, for example. We invite them. We're in Sudan. We're working in Sudan. Okay, and we want to present what we call the quarterly report. So every 3 months we have a report on the project. Do you know where do we hold the meeting? The project is in Sudan. We hold the meetings in Dubai. right? So we book a hotel in Dubai, right? A room in Dubai, a meeting place. We book them tickets from the budget of the project. Okay? Now you might call this rashwa, okay? But it's just whatever. سميها تسهيلات. Yeah. Okay. Now the reason we do this is
رشوة مختلفة تماما. رشوة مختلفة.
بالظبط.
الورد بتاع رشوة مختلفة.
Exactly.
تديله حاجة عشان يعمل لك حاجة مش من حقك.
Yes.
أو لكن أنا بسهل الأمور بدل ما أقعد أتخانق معاك تعمل نتقابل في ستاربكس مثلا نشرب قهوة ولا ماكدونالدز بتاع ده وضع مختلف عن ما احنا قاعدين نتخانق. ده موضوع مختلف تماما.
And these guys, they don't need this Dubai trip. They go to Dubai every weekend, right? They're well off, guys, right? It's not like as if we're taking someone من يعني from nothing to Dubai هيقول wow, no? But the reason we do this is a couple of things. You want to first of all cut them off all the distractions.
From the daily activity.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Get their full attention.
When their brain is there.
Exactly.
لأن كل واحد بيزعق معاك وهو واقف قلت له اقعد اهدى.
Exactly. That's it.
خرجته من المود اللي هو
right? Relaxed environment. Okay. We have 3 full days of their concentration. We deliver the report. We get their feedback. The discussion takes place, and then they go back. Okay. So that's the stakeholder management. Very, very important. So as a project manager, you have to take good care of this area here.
Here we weekly meeting with the consultant, monthly. There will be monthly meeting with the stakeholders. Right?
Weekly with the client rep and the consultant. But with the
RC bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly.
يعني depends on.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the stakeholder management. And as I said, as a project manager, this would be the area I would like on a daily basis. I have to look into this knowledge area. I cannot afford to have my eyes off this area all the time. Okay. Now, when it comes to dealing with stakeholders, it's all about perception. The stakeholders' perception about you as a project manager. Okay. Now, how do you send the positive or the right perception to stakeholders? How do stakeholders evaluate you as a person or your personality? In which situations? Stakeholders get an idea about your ability or competency as a project manager when
problems come.
During hard times, right? When there is a problem, okay? This is where you have the opportunity to show your true mettle.
Yes.
Okay? Because when things are going fine, okay, nobody knows the value of the project manager, right? Even if you do a lot of work, right? We say a project manager is like a duck. Being a duck, البطة. Okay? البطة, if this is the sea or the water or the river, okay? والبطة, okay? So let's say this is بطة. Okay? Now, what happens underneath the water? بيكون حاصل ايه تحت المية؟ Like hell. So if you have a camera and you're looking at what's happening here, the legs of the duck moves like hell, but above water, it's relaxed. Right? So you're like a batta, a project manager, right? People look at you and say, ده قاعد يوم بيعملش أي حاجة هو قاعد مش كده؟ But the work you do underneath is very hard work. Okay? Now, for stakeholders, right, they look at you as a batta, as a duck. Everything is fine, and they think everything is fine, but they cannot see lots of the underground work you do. That's things they don't. They only see you presenting things to them. Okay, but they don't see all the hard work you do at home, at the office stuff, right? So, but in times of problems, this is where, right, the stakeholders will formulate an idea about you. So if you're the type of person, get Mazen here, please. So Mazen, you did this, and we have these problems in our project. You tell them, yeah, you know why? Because it's these procurement guys have problems.
Blaming.
And you know the problem with the consultant is usually they do this, but we're doing our work. But you know what? I'll try to solve the problem. They might say, oh, okay, fine, but they already forming conclusions about your personality. Right? They might not tell it to you directly, but you already lost some grounds. Why? Because you started pointing fingers, and that's the easy thing to do. Right? But you come in there, we have problems, you tell them, yes, it's my responsibility. I will deal with it within my team. I'll talk to my team, and I'll see exactly what's happening, and I will come back to you with the problem. Okay? So here, this is how you actually build your, what we call, your rapport with the rapport, يعني rapport. Okay? يعني سمعتك أو وجودك أو شكلك في أذهان الناس, in the people's perception about you. You build it through taking responsibility, being brave, okay? Not taking things personally, okay? And the main issue when it comes to project managers is whenever this interferes with your work, it becomes a problem. Job security. So the moment you put in the balance your job security, you already lose a lot. Okay? But again, I'm just being practical. It happens to me personally. Now I teach it, but it happens to me. When they call me to do something and people started insulting me and telling me this and that, and I want to talk back and I say, but you know what, I need this job. I have a family waiting for me at home. So let me, just شوية نازل يعني. Okay? But it happens to us, but we have to be aware about it when it interferes with our, where do I stop? When this interferes with my integrity. Okay? integrity بالعربي يعني
الكرامة ولا
يعني مش الكرامة، تكامل بين الايه؟ بين الأقوال والأفعال. Okay? integrity يعني someone integral is someone who's بالضبط أيوة، يعني احترام النفس مع الصدق مع يعني it's a combination of so many things. Okay? But it's not easy, it's difficult, okay, to do manage stakeholders. But again, we always say first impression lasts. يعني الانطباع الأول يدوم. بالضبط يدوم. نقي فؤادك حيث شئت من الهوى. عارف البيت ده؟ ما الحب إلا للحبيب الأولي. نقي فؤادك حيث شئت من الهوى.
كلثوم غنت الشعر صح؟
ايوه ما الحب الا للحبيب الاولي.
الحب
ايوه ما الحب الا للحبيب الاولي. كم منزل في الارض يألفه الفتى وحنينه ابدا لاول منزل.
مر على الديار ليلى
كم منزل في الارض يألفه الفتى يألفه ايوه الفتى وحنينه ابدا لاول منزله. عشان كده وهيب حاسه اخذ بيت فين؟ اخذت بيت فين؟
لبنان او مدينة.
يعني ماشي ولا هترجع صح؟
اكيد
مش كده؟
اكيد.
Okay, right. So last, the final part is the integration, project management integration. Now we planning. We said we have a lot of processes. In execution, a lot of process. Control, lot of process. The integration area or knowledge area brings all these things together in one process. So as a project manager, when it comes to direct and manage execution, you are making sure you're looking into everything in a holistic way, holistic manner, making decisions. Control, monitor and control. Again, everything here is monitored and controlled. So what happens here in direct and managed project execution, here is where you deliver the deliverables. So the output of this process is project deliverables. Okay? Deliverables. Okay? So we have the deliverables here. Okay? Now these deliverables, okay, are created by the project team, right? We take these deliverables and do what? Apply quality control to it to validate it. Right? Now, once we validate the deliverables, we take it to who? To the customer to accept it. Through scope validation here. So the final acceptance happens here. Okay? So the project manager in the integration processes is looking into the project as a whole process rather than, as I said, Sunday morning, scope control. Monday morning, no, it doesn't happen this way. That's why when you look at the tool and technique in all these processes, you will find something very interesting called expert knowledge. And expert knowledge means what? Your experience. So no book, pen book or whatever will tell you how to do these things. Only your experience will be able to tell you. So that's why we have one of the techniques is expert knowledge. Your experience as a project manager. You walk to your office or on your way to the office and you're thinking, I think I need to call that contractor. So you come in and you call the contractor, you're doing some procurement work. 10 o'clock you say, you know what, maybe I need to look into my communication plan. So you open the communication plan. 11 o'clock you say, I think I should go to the site now and go check and see one of my engineers who has this problem and I have to resolve, right? So this is experience. And everyone manage a project in a completely unique manner. And that's the beauty of project management. Okay? So every single project is unique. Every time I teach this course, I teach it in a different manner. Otherwise, because I'm really يعني ما عنديش بيسموها ايه قلنا ايه خلق ايوه
جلد
بالظبط يعني I don't like repeated stuff even if it pays well. That's why I never had a job for more than 1 year. عمري ما اشتغلت في حته اكتر من سنه سنتين ماكسيموم. اوكي بقى كده طبيعتي كده.
ثلاث 4 سنين اوكي.
لا سنتين انا ماكسيموم. Okay, so because the beauty of project management is it's always evolving and it's new. If you manage today a construction project and next year the same building, right, will it be the same? If you're building the same building somewhere else, definitely not. Exactly. So that's why it's a very nice move. Now this changing factors and elements makes it even more challenging because you can't have a book telling you how to do things, right? So it's you have a framework, but every time you have different colors and different people working with you and different people creating problems, right? And different people giving you troubles and so on and so forth. Okay? Now the final stage of our framework is where we close the project. Project closure is a very important thing. Now it says here close project and here close procurement. So here we mean the contract and here we mean the project. Question, do you close contract first then the project or close project then contract?
Project.
Or it depends? مش كده؟ So give me the scenario where you close the project and the contract.
Close the project يعني initial handing over. Okay, I hand it to the client. Client started soft opening. بعد كده دخلنا في المينتنس والشغلات هذه.
Okay.
لكن لسه في مع السب كونتراكتور في ديل لسه.
Okay.
في الريتنشن في
So the contract is closed later. The final closure.
Yes. حتى البروجكت لو قلت كلوز حضرتك as a something functional لكن كبيبر ورك برضه لسه ما بيخلص.
It will still yes. So it depends. Exactly. Right? It depends. So a simple scenario, let's say I sign a contract with PVC as a trader. Okay, so I sign a contract saying I will deliver 2 PMP courses, one project. Project 2, help in establishing a PMO, for example. Project number 3, to help people pass the exam, for example. So let's say 3 projects in my contract between me and PVC, right? So I deliver project 1, close, project 2, close, project 3, close, then I can close my contract. to pay me my final payment. So that's an example of when you have projects inside the stomach of a contract, right? Sometimes you have it the other way around. So let's say I work on a project of building a tower. So this is my project, right? Inside that project, I have you guys as my subcontractors. So I sign a contract with you to do the foundation, a contract with you for the finishing, a contract with you for the furniture, and so on, right? Now, I can only close my project when I do what? When I close all the individual contracts. Then I can close my project. So it's a case by case. It depends on how you look at it. In your case, in one project, you will have the two scenarios, right? Sometimes you do it this way with some contracts. Some other contracts you close inside the project. Builds up. Exactly. Okay? Now, when you're closing the project, so let's say the Aziz Tower has been built, complete, ready for handover. Okay? What should the project team do at that moment of time? To make sure that the project handover is done completely. Do you operate it as a project team? So this point, the cutoff point between project and operation, what should happen there? Handing over.
Testing and commissioning.
Okay, testing and commissioning. But most importantly, you should celebrate. Okay. Right. So why do you think people celebrate at that stage of the project? Just because they love to party?
فهياك نفسيا خلاص
Yes.
يعني الشغل خلاص بقى خف بقى خلاص عملنا سيرتيفيكيشن عملنا حفله خلاص سلمنا المشروع.
Exactly. So it's an announcement. زي فاكرين في ال develop project charter we announced the project birth. Here we announce the project's
Completion.
or death I call it. Is it death or the كلمة صعبة شوية؟ Okay, but as we celebrated here the project coming to being, here we have to celebrate the project going away. So this is very important, this handover, because sometimes the operation team plays some games, right? What games do they play? So let's say we're building a hospital. We're the project team. We handed over the hospital to the administration, so the people who are operating the hospital. Okay, but we did not actually celebrate, we did not announce, we just handed over. That's it. Okay. Once they started operating the hospital, they realized there are some problems. Maybe with the corridors, maybe with something they do. Maybe they have this, the AC or whatever, right? So let's say and it happened this before. عارفين النجالات اسمها ايه؟
سكراتشز دامجز.
ايوه النجالات. Trolls they used to get patients from the من عربية الإسعاف to actually the accident room, right? So one time they had an accident, so they were transporting a patient, and the guy who was pushing the trolley made a sharp turn. Okay, so the patient fell down, and as a result died. Okay, كان جاي بحادث يعني بسيط، رموه على الأرض ومات. Okay, once they started the يعني investigation, they said والله هي المشكلة إنه جماعة المشروع تصميم الممرات فيه مشكلة كان. Okay, وجروا رجل الجماعة.
خد بالك اسمع مستشفيتين شغال في المنزل.
اوكي فجروا رجل المشروع فريق المشروع ولما اوكي انتم طيب مسؤولين وكده and they got involved. Why? Because the handover wasn't done properly. يعني فريق المشروع did not pull itself out of this project in a clear way. يعني احنا بنقول عندنا في السودان مثلا يقول لك دفن الليل ابكرا عن برا. When you do something quickly يعني زي كأنك انت بتدفن في يعني شخص ميت. اوكي فلما تدفنه بالليل بسرعة بتكرع يعني رجل. بتدفن بتكون رجله برا. اوكي مش بنكذب من الليل بكراع يعني when you do something بسرعه يعني بصوره مشي
خلصوا عليك
ايوه بالضبط ايوه انا بعمل الجوب in a proper way. ف if you don't do this in a proper way people will always pull you into the problems. But when you celebrate بتقول للعالم ladies and gentlemen we as a project team delivered this hospital and now it's handed over by these guys. Thank you very much. And you go. بعد أي مشكلة anything that happens البليم حيكون لمين؟ الoperating team. Operation team not the project team.
Celebration ولا documents؟
ما both مع بعض يعني. Documents will always happen لأنها it's contractual. But the celebration is more of a media thing and it's as you mentioned it's a state of mind. Saying we're خلاص we have nothing to do with this now. Let's look into something else.
احنا في حالتنا بتطول.
Same never make سوا marriage. It's an agreement. I mean,
Yeah.
after you celebrate, it is a full stop.
Exactly. Now it's the husband and wife problem. Yeah. So in your case you said
بقول بالconstruction field مثلا انت عندك residential building.
okay.
يكون في كتير ناس وكتير وكبار. بس سلم مشروع بضل في سناك ليست.
Yeah, but that's fine. Snap list is something different.
ما بتخلص.
أيوة.
عم بحكي عنها انه ما بتخلص.
بالضبط.
بضل في كتير
لا، but
قصص. حتى بكون ايام ساكنين العالم.
Yes, and still going on.
Still
بس
going
مش في مدة زمنية like maximum of 1 year.
كده ما عرفوش. خلاص.
Exactly.
سنة.
بعد سنة خلاص.
Yeah, yes. There is 1 year. Maybe.
Yeah.
بس لو في حاجات أدبية يعني لو في حاجة
أيوة
ليش
بالضبط.
حصلت حاجة أدبية حتى بعد السنة.
It's all again back to the trust
يعني
factor.
عزل مثلا في حاجة كده.
العقد ده 10 سنين.
No, we ask completion certificate.
For completion certificate.
We ask completion certificate.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
To be documented.
طيب let's look. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
بس كتير
وينك يا حضرتك
Right.
الجنرال؟
يا اخي والله فاتتك يعني.
ما زال مكاني فاضي انا بحفظ وبعمل الفرص الحلوه. ايه ده كمان؟ انت بتحبني بقى.
اوكي. So انت كويس جيت مع النهاية.
طب انا اعمل ايه في الدقايق؟
الامتحان بقى.
خلصنا.
يا شباب انا مش عارف حتى الفايل تبعي راح فين.
اتفضل.
اطلع كمان؟
Okay, so we've during the past يعني couple of days we've actually covered all the processes in a logical manner. And the idea of this course is to make sure that you have enough confidence, right, in that we know these things. Just a matter of, like I was talking to Wahid, it's just putting things in a certain framework to bring everything together. All the things we discussed so far are things you do already. So nothing completely new. Rarely you find some, maybe a term or two, but in general, all the things you do. So it's just a matter of tuning your brain into the PMI mentality, because they have funny things in the PMI. Funny things like what? So when they talk about, we have something called ethics, أخلاقيات المهنة. Okay? So they have something called ethical responsibility as a project manager, and there are some questions, but there is nothing. There's no curriculum for that. It's just common sense. So they tell you, you are a project manager in a country where women are not allowed, for example, to become or to be in leading positions, right? And one of the females has just been appointed as a project manager, okay? But the local customs, right, doesn't allow for that to happen. What should you do as a CEO of the company? Option A, make her the project manager regardless of the local custom. 2, find other reward for her in order not to clash with the local custom, right? 3, transfer her to another country and make her project manager there, okay? 4, cancel your decision. Okay? So what should the answer be?
I'll go, in my opinion, I'll go second option.
Which is?
Compromising.
Find somewhere, okay. What else?
I'll transfer her to another country.
Transfer her. Okay. The answer is A. Make her project manager regardless of local customs. Okay? Because it tells you should not discriminate against women, gender, race, religion, blah blah. It's the ethical, it's the ethics. Okay? Even if the local custom or the local authority will close your project down. Okay? That's what the PMI tells us. Because they want to say, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not always about what's right. It's their mentality. انت عاوز تنجح في الامتحان ولا عاوز
الإجابة إيه؟
Last week happened. One Saudi lady, she tried to drive the car. She got the
On causeway.
She got what?
in Iraq.
Yeah. السواقة ممنوعة هنا للليديز بس مش ممنوعة بالقانون. ما بالقانون طبعا
هي ممنوع.
ايوه بس
هو الإجابة بتاعتهم كانت على قد التشبيه بتاعك. أنت لو شبهت اديت مثال تاني ممكن هم يجيبوا
صح
أنت شبهتها بسؤال المقاومة وكده.
ايوه
لكن لو شبهت غيرت المثل
نعم
ممكن أقول لك إيه صح أنا معاك.
صحيح. انا بالذات اخترت دي لانه فعلا دي ممكن تكون هنا بالقانون مثلا ممنوعه whatever بس ال PMI tells us it's always no to discrimination. We should have zero tolerance towards discrimination. Okay? This is the PMI way of thinking. Now,
ما هم ننجح وبعدين مش
بالضبط بعدين نشوف الصح. But let me give you another example Shan, to show you how challenging this mentality is or why you need to tune into their mentality. You are a project manager in a country in West Africa. They won't say the name of the country. Then I'll tell you the name of the country, Nigeria. Okay? You were asked to pay the local police department, right, $1,000 to provide you with protection, right, from whatever, right? But this money, right, they ask you not to report this money, i.e. it's
illegal.
Okay? What do you do? One, report the policeman to higher authority. Two, pay the money, right? Three, don't report but don't pay the money, right? Four, go and whatever. بس من الثلاثة, which one should you do? You're supposed to pay, not take. Which is what?
Pay
the money.
Pay the money. Okay? So you see, this is pay the money. You look at it and you feel it's unethical to pay bribery. But here PMI tells you what? It's in the safety of the project team is of paramount importance. So if you don't pay the money, you risk what? Nigeria.
Yes.
Right? So these are the kind of things you have to think of. It's not always
same thing about making a lady as project manager.
Right.
For example, here it's for her safety to not be a project
right.
manager.
Exactly. But that's why I say it's
هو أنت عندك مدير المشروع بلاك اسود.
ما أعرف.
لا وهو قال لك مش عايزين واحد بلاك ما عندنا واحد
بالضبط.
تعمل ايه؟
No to discrimination.
نفرض انه يتغير.
بالظبط كده.
ايوه.
هي دي الحته الاساسيه اللي هو عايز يتكلم فيها.
discrimination.
بس هو شبه لنا واحد وواحده.
بالضبط. على طول
بعض اضرب يعني.
ايوه. But discrimination, you should not discriminate against race, gender, religion,
But in the contract
age, education. These are all areas you should not discriminate.
in contract condition that is mentioned, the local rules should be followed.
Yes.
One.
Well, that's
In the dispute case.
ده في النزاع.
صح نزاع.
ما that's what I said. انتوا عايزين تنجحوا ولا عايزين الصح؟
لا عايزين ننجح.
بس خلاص. عايزين تنجحوا الست لازم تكون مدير المشروع.
خلاص
تعيينها من بكره.
بدك سعدان ونخلص شو بدك؟
Okay, right? So let's just now give you a quick review on the application for the exam because that's very important. Okay? Now the process of applying for the exam starts with this website, www.pmi.org. So you go to this site, okay? You go, first of all, if you're not a member, you need to create a profile. Okay, so you need to register. Okay, I'm already logged in here, so
You can do it now
Okay.
before making any.
yeah. You can start working on it straight away. Okay, so here you see login or register. You register, basic information, name, address, password, username, right? And then you go to the website and you log in. So I'm logged in as Al-Shariani now. And you go to certification, okay? Apply now. So you click apply now, right? It will come up with options of all the certifications that PMI offers. Okay, you go to apply now again here.
Step 1, step 2, step 3.
Yeah, so just follow apply now and again apply now, because it tells you here the steps. Okay, so I already have a credential, so I'll just click apply now. Okay, so when you go, it will take you to a page. I have to log in again. So this is the login page. Okay, so PMI has a number of certifications. It has the PMP. Okay, it has something called the CAPM, which is a lesser certificate. So if you don't have the experience for this, you go for this. They have a higher certification than the PMP. It's called the PGMP. This is Project Management Professional. This is Program Management Professional, and you do it after the PMP. Okay, and then they have other certification for scheduling, for they have one for risk scheduling, program management professional. Yeah, program, right? So when you log in and you go to certification, you go to this, you see, apply for CAPM. Now I already started my certification process, so it says here continue working. So you don't have to do it in one sitting. So you can work on it, log out, log in back, and work it. It's a long process. Okay, so here we go for apply for PMP application. Okay, now when you go to this, it gives you here all the steps. So you have the three steps to apply. First step is to fill your application. Right, once you fill the application, you submit all your information to PMI. They will reply by saying yes, you are eligible to sit for the exam. Then you go for schedule the exam. So online you choose the location where you want to do the exam and the time. So you start from 9 a.m. all the way to I think 1 p.m. So you choose your slot and then you send, and then they will confirm. You go do the exam and your results will be published here. Okay?
We take the results straight after.
Yeah, straight away in the exam you get straight away the result. Okay, now the application is where we are at now, and the application is very straightforward, okay, but long. Right? So your address, so here you just put your address, okay, save and continue. Then your contact information, right? So you put some contact information here, your email, your phone number, okay? Then you go to attained education. So the university or diploma degrees you have, which school you went to, the name of university, the name of your degree, right? You put it here. And then this is the key part of the application, which is the requirements, right? In the requirements, you are asked to provide your project management experience. Okay, so this is the important part. You need to report on 36 months of experience and 4,500 experience hours.
What's that?
4,500 experience hours in project management.
Hours.
Yeah. هم السنة عندهم ب 1500 ساعة. Okay? So you need both. So why do they put it this way? Because if you work on 2 projects at the same time, right, you can only count one. يعني شغال في مشروعين. Okay? They will not count both projects. They will count only one project. So that's why you have duration in terms of month and in terms of project hours, right? So you need both, right? So,
how they can be can assure that my information are
right. Okay. First of all, they assume إن إحنا كلنا صادقين. Nobody will lie. Okay, that's the basic assumption because they don't ask for any evidences. It's online. However, if your application is questionable, and you're putting things that's illogical or it's weak, they will ask for an audit. They send you an email saying, thank you, we've received your application, but you have been subjected to an audit. This audit, you will be asked to send all your documents to them.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and it has to be attested.
Good.
And it has to be approved by your managers and so you go through a very long process. So that's why we have to make sure we spend an effort in doing this in a professional manner.
يعني خلينا زي ما بكتب الكلام ده بشرحه كأني مثلا موجود في السي في يعني ولا؟
Yes, هنشوف هسه دلوقتي we'll see. Okay, so let's look at how do we document the experience. Okay, so you go to PM experience. Okay, and I already have these projects for this lady. So let's just look at adding a new one. Okay, so we don't need to add any because she already made. So let's look into the first project, property management system. Okay, so can you see every project you enter, it already gives you the deal. So it asks you for the name of the project, when did it start, when did it finish, okay, and what was your role in that project. You don't have to be a project manager for every project. Let's look at some of the options. I can be a supervisor, a manager, a project leader, a project manager, an educator, a consultant, an administrator, or even other. I can be a secretary in that project. Secretary المشروع. Okay? So it's talking about your role in a project environment rather than just project manager. Okay? So this is that. Okay? This is the first one, which is what we call the project specific information. Now next, let's see what other information they want from the project. Here they want the name of the organization where you work for that project and what's your project title and what's your what do you call it, job title. Because I could be an accountant working for PBC, and in a project I'm a project manager for that project. Okay? So if your title is the same, you just put it here. So your title, PBC, which country, Saudi Arabia, the address, city, the month. Okay? Save and continue. Next, we have your organization contact. So you have to provide the name of who? Of a person that they can contact, okay, in that organization to verify your experience.
For each
For each project. Yeah, for each. No, but you only list the experience for the past 3 years only. The last 3 years only.
not all.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
ممكن for a long time nobody available.
Exactly. That's okay, yes.
Reference.
Exactly. It's just the reference. Okay? Important to have the person's email and phone number. So whenever you have this red star, these are mandatory fields. Okay? All of you guys, when you apply, you can, for example, put the name of engineer Ihab, for example, as your reference. Or one person who is a senior person in any organization. But it's important for that person to inform him or her because they might send an email to him. Okay, because he will be, they might be contacted. Okay, now we come to the core issue of the project documentation, and that's your domain area, number of hours in each domain area. So the areas: initiation, planning, execution, control, closing. You have to specify the number of hours. How do we calculate that?
يعني انا بدي مشروع سنتين في المشروع.
Okay, سنتين معناتها التوتال number of hours كم؟ 3000. اوكي تمام؟ توزع ال 3000 دي على الارياز. انت دورك ثاني ايه اكثر شيء؟ في البلاننج ولا في الاكسكيوشن ولا what was the nature of your work؟ تمام؟ فهي انت تحسبها كده، انا بحسبها يعني بقول مثلا in this project I was mainly planning مثلا، فال 3000 ممكن ادي منها let's say 750 planning ووزع الباقي على الباقي depending هو مديك في كل area a type of nature of work. Okay, so it's not easy to do. عدد الساعات، ما انت هو دلوقتي مدير مشروع لسنتين اللي هي 3000 ساعة، محتاجين نوزعهم هنا على ال 5 أو 6 knowledge areas أو processes دي، فهنوزعهم ازاي؟ بتشوف طبيعة العمل بتاعتك لازم تركز عليه بالظبط بالظبط، وده هم عارفين دي عملية تقريبية يعني مش أكتر من كده. Okay, and you can have a standard way. يعني usually we say a project managers مثلا 60% effort will be in planning. ممكن توزعها كده، نحط مثلا 10% initiation, 60% planning, 20% let's say execution. أو إذا أنت project manager ما حيكون عندك في الاكسكيوشن كتير صح؟ كده؟ So you can put 25% مثلا monitoring and controlling. Okay, والبقية closure مثلا. يعني you can have zero in execution, no problem, because I don't do any execution. أو ممكن تديها 10% because you have project team development and managing and quality control maybe, quality assurance. So this is the key area. Okay. You have to do, and then you go to the next one, and you just say save and continue, and it takes you back to the. لا before that في ثاني في جزء مهم برضو اللي هو البروجكت description.
What does it cost?
No, this is by phases. But you will here have, so here develop budget for example is here.
Yeah,
now the next step is this where you have to give a description of what the project is aiming to do and your role. So the project was aiming to computerize the process of blah 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 blah. There were numerous stakeholders in this project and we needed to offer a common platform of using this. My role was to ensure that this common platform is, so you just give a summary of what the project was all about and your role and your main role in that project. Save and continue, and this concludes one project. Okay, then it takes you back to the dashboard. This dashboard will tell you all the projects you listed, the amount, the number of months, okay, you listed, the number of hours, and whether you qualified or not. So this is the number of months needed, 36, and this is the number of hours needed. This application, the lady reported 49 months and 4,860 hours. So she can move on.
بكفي ولا خلاص كده؟
لا once انك عملت كده خلاص. And you can see exactly because once you hit this target, it doesn't allow you to add anything. يعني الاب بتكون disabled.
خلاص كده ريحونا.
Yeah. Okay, so as long as you report 3 years of work, 4,500 hours, it's done. But make sure this experience is recent experience. يعني no report on project عملتها في 2002 و2004 يعني اشتغل من 2009 وانت جاي. Okay, report on project من 2009 up to 2013 or 2014. Okay, once you're ready here and once you complete everything, you review and submit. You don't pay any money. Okay, now here في عندي 2 incomplete so I cannot submit. If I complete these 2, then I'll just click submit. It goes to PMI. Within a week, you receive an email saying you're eligible. Now go and pay $550. exam fees. Once you pay that money, they send you something called an authorization letter, PDF. You take that letter to the exam center to book for your exam. And you're ready.
الإكزام بقى نفسه.
The exam 200 questions, okay, 4 hours, right? All MCQs, multiple choice questions. And we agreed that I'm going to send the engineer have a sample of the exam, 200 questions. And he promised also that for those people who will register for the exam and get the authorization letter, they will organize a 2-day session exam techniques to prepare you for the exam. Where in that session you'll just be working.
once ناخد الخطوه دي بقى لغايه الاكزام كلنا نعمل ريجستريشن دلوقتي مثلا
ما الجهاز اتخرج
بالظبط.
هنرتب انا مرتب معاك بس قولوا لي امتى تكونوا جاهزين عشان هي من مراجعه الكلام ده.
Yeah. Once you register and you set the dates for the exam, so let's say the exam will be next month or within 5 weeks. Give yourself some time. Exactly. Then we'll come in these 2 days. We'll just work on exam techniques. يعني هتكون أسئلة
ندفع ال $500 ونستنى ولا ما ندفعش يعني نعمل ريجستريشن بس.
اوكي يعني مين اللي عايز يمتحن الاول؟ اوكي 5 6 10 اللي هو كل واحد يعمل ريجستريشن مكان ندفع الموعد تجيب مهندس مازن في وقت نرتب مع جماعه كيو بي يعني قبل ما نسال لما نعرف ميعاد الامتحان نقدر نرتب قبلها.
Just coordinate يعني انتوا اعملوا نسقوا بينكم عشان يكون في مجموعه بس make sure you start this process as soon as possible. Okay? And once you do it, I'd be happy to have a look at it before you submit it. And before you submit it, you can send me an email, give me your username and password so I can look at the integrity of your application. To tell you whether this application is acceptable or it's questionable, there's something missing before you hit the submit button.
The last one, submit.
Yes. After you complete everything, the experiences, exactly.
Center for exam. Center for exam.
Once the center for the exam, I don't know where the center here is. Maybe I think of New Horizon.
الخبر
الخليج.
هو في الخبر أصلا. في الخبر.
الخبر. الإيميل لا الإيميل I can write you my email and I'll send an email to I'll send باشمهندس إيهاب my email. But even if you want to send me an email at any time, feel free. I'm just going to write it here. But I send everything to inshallah باشمهندس إيهاب and we'll coordinate after that. My email is mazin_abusin@hotmail.com.
سؤال بقى ابو سن يعني ايه؟
أبو سن يعني أبو الخطيئة.
ايوه عاوز اسالك عن
أبو سن إحنا جدا زمان أبو سن ده كان عنده سن ذهب.
ابو سن
كان اسمه أبو سن.
عندنا ابو سن
في أبو سن وفي أبو سنينة في فلسطين.
لا عندنا ابو سن.
أبو سن أنتوا عندكم أبو سن.
بس انا عاوز اعرف بس السن دي ايه عشان
لا سن.
سن الانجليزي
خطيئة.
خطيئة أيوة.
عصير.
أيوة. The father of all sins.
سنر
Sin S-I-N. خطيئة. أيوة. Thank you very much مرة ثانية. Enjoy the course وأتمنى إنكم تكونوا استفدتوا وإن شاء الله نشوفكم كده في عما قريب إن شاء الله.
شاكرين ومولدين.